I mean, you're not wrong. I'm well aware that ACOTAR is not like high art. That being said, though, I think there is a lot of fun in kind of picking things apart and being nitpicky and pedantic like this. I'm having fun, certainly. But I also think dismissing legitimate criticism of a thing because it's supposed to be fun and it's not supposed to be high art is also not it's also like a little reductive. And I think the problem here is that this story is fun, and clearly I'm having fun and I'm talking about it all the time. But like the minute that you start to look at the world building for even half a second too long, it starts to fall apart. And I feel like when you're writing a story like this, the world building should enhance the story. It shouldn't make you look twice at the story, you know? Like, okay, for example, Pokemon. I'm going here. So Pokemon is not supposed to be like a Pulitzer Prize winning story. Basically, when we're playing Pokemon or we're watching Pokemon, we are watching the same fucking kid try to be champion, or we're getting the same story of kid goes and conquers 8 gyms, beats the Elite Four, and becomes champion. And we play that game over and over since we were very, very small. And you can take that story as the face value and you can go with it, or you can be kind of pedantic and be kind of crazy and, you know, take every little chunk of world building that the franchise gives you and use it to kind of create the overarching tone of the series, which for Pokemon is a lot darker than I think the kid aspect and the game aspect like implies it to be. Like, there are some fucked up Pokemon origin stories. There are some characters who have been through it in Pokemon. And while you don't need all of that world building and to be that nitpicky about it in order to enjoy Pokemon, it enhances the story. It doesn't take away from it. You should also know, this is my favorite Pokemon. He's just a ladybug in sneakers. What's not to love? Minecraft is another good example. Like, it's just Legos. It's just Legos on your computer. But the more that you play it, or the more that you start to like pick at the world a little bit and kind of check out the lore and get really into it, or you go through the story and you beat the game, and the next thing you know, you started off with like nothing in your hands punching a tree, and the next thing you know, you've beat the Ender Dragon and you're reading about two gods talking to each other, and it's just like, and the universe says I love you, and the universe says you have played the game well. Like, you should know that's my next tattoo. My next tattoo is, and the universe said you have played the game well. ACOTAR world building doesn't do that. ACOTAR world building, essentially, the more little pieces of it that we get, the more we end up scrutinizing the story, and then the world building kind of falls apart around it, and like that part sucks. Like, okay, so the Lord of the Rings, I feel like we don't scrutinize like how does Minas Tirith support itself, or, you know, where do the horse lords in Edoras like how are their horses taken care of? Is that taken care of by the government or taken care of like by the soldiers themselves? Like, we're not thinking about that stuff because the author, like Tolkien, he's not calling attention to that. He's not making us think of those things. But in ACOTAR, we have this whole like little subplot in the Spring Court of Tamlin popping off about the tithe. And then Rhysand's like, oh, like, or Rhysand or Amren or whoever, they're like, oh, the Night Court doesn't pay taxes, we don't do a tithe, but the Spring Court does it. I have thoughts about that I will hopefully be getting to very soon. The issue here is that Sarah called attention to it. She brought up taxes, so now we're thinking about taxes. Meanwhile, with something like Pokemon, something like Minecraft, the world building is there, but you can go looking for it, or you don't have to go looking for it. It just enhances the story that you're taking part in. It doesn't actually do anything to detract from the story at all. All this to say, yes, these books are supposed to be fun. They are not supposed to be high art. But I do think that there is a difference between like ripping something up just to rip something up, or just to be like, these parts of the story are really cool, but when you're doing these other things, it kind of takes away from those things that are cool. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. And I don't know, I'm having fun. I hope everybody else is having fun too.